Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Myself Monica, and today I'll be talking about laryngeal paralysis. So you might be very low today, because it's a night time and I don't want to disturb other people in my hostel, so I'm talking in low voice. So today I'm talking about laryngeal paralysis, and this is a very easy topic. Okay, if before you start to learn understand about it, you might find it difficult, but it is actually very easy. There's very minimum amount of things that we have to learn, and once you learn those 3-4 things, whole chapter you can write on your own. That knowledge, okay, it's that easy. So in this video, my most important priority will be to give you that idea of understanding this chapter, and there's a key point of this chapter, and all the thing will be given in my slides. You can take my screenshots of the slide and take notes from it. They are very understandable by reading only. So let's get started. So larynx is supplied by tail cranial nerve, which gives two branches. One is superior laryngeal nerve and the next is the recurrent laryngeal nerve. And simple, to understand what is the cranial nerve that supplies larynx, then cranial nerve vagus. It has two branches: superior laryngeal nerve, recurrent laryngeal nerve. All the intrinsic muscles are supplied by the recurrent laryngeal nerve except cricothyroid, which is supplied by the another branch of the superior laryngeal nerve, which is the external laryngeal nerve. So superior laryngeal nerve has again two branches: external laryngeal nerve and internal laryngeal nerve. The external nerve supplies the cricothyroid muscle, whereas the internal nerve supplies to the larynx and the hypopharynx above the level of the vocal cord. So it gives a sensory supply to the larynx and hypopharynx above the vocal cord. And recurrent laryngeal nerve supplies all other remaining internal muscles. Another thing to remember is the left recurrent laryngeal nerve has a long course and it's more prone to injury as compared to the right side. So let's learn about the intrinsic laryngeal muscles. So the intrinsic laryngeal muscles are thyroarytenoid and vocalis. They are and thyroepiglottic, cricothyroid, lateral cricothyroid, posterior cricothyroid, lateral cricoarytenoid, interarytenoid, oblique arytenoids, and aryepiglottic. So, and these are the things that you should know. Which is the nerve, branches, division, and its division's function. One line, nothing big. This is enough, more than enough. After that, abductor of the vocal cord is only posterior cricoarytenoid. This is the only muscle that abducts the vocal cord, and it helps in respiration, and thus it is also known as the safety muscles of the larynx. What do you mean by abduction? Abduction means which pushes away the vocal cord. So the only muscle that helps in the abduction of the vocal cord is the cricothyroid. So it is the only abductor of the vocal cord. After that, the remaining muscles, okay, whichever I have said earlier, they are all the adductors. Add means to add. So add means to come together. So that means to come together means to come in the midline. So that is known as adductors. So they are the true vocal cords, okay, of the true vocal cords. And both only the recurrent laryngeal nerve supplies to the abductor muscles of the vocal cord, that is the posterior cricoarytenoid. Otherwise there are only adductor muscles, and one of the adductor muscle, cricothyroid, is supplied by superior laryngeal nerve. So after this, cricothyroid and vocalis are the tensors of the vocal cord. Okay, they act on the length of the vocal cord to increase the tension or decrease the tension. All the points that I have said till now, the point number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this 6 and 7, 8, 9. If you just remember these points only, you can cover the whole chapter without even mugging up any point. Okay, you can cover the whole chapter. After that, we have the vocal cords. Okay, vocal cords. The next point that we need to remember is the positions of the vocal cords. The vocal cords, usually in a normal position and resting position, lies in a cadaveric position, which is 3 mm distant away from the midline, and it is a neutral position. Okay, after that, what happens, what is the position of the vocal cord when speaking? It lies in the midline, that is median position. Okay, so median position, that is the midline which is in the phonation. After that it goes little away from the midline, that is 1.5 mm, which is paramedian position. You can see over here midline, then paramedian position when it is whispering, when we are whispering. After that in neutral position it lies in the cadaveric state. After that in mild abduction, abduction means always away, so mild abduction it lies 7 mm far, which is in the respiration, and in the full abduction 9.5 mm, which is in the deep inspiration. So this is about the position of the vocal cord. So now only thing that we have to remember is in which position which action is going to happen. Okay, suppose if it lies, suppose the vocal cord goes into the paramedian position, then in paramedian position we can easily whisper, and since it's not very far from midline, so there will be not so much problem in phonation also. So phonation and whisper will be normal, but which will be affected will be respiration and deep inspiration, because for respiration and deep inspiration to happen normally, the distance from the midlines will be 7 and 9.5, isn't it? Next thing, suppose the position of the vocal cord is 7 mm, okay, which is 7 mm away from the midline. So in this position there will be respiration and inspiration, but will there be phonation? No, because for phonation to happen it will be in the midline position. So this is how, by just knowing the position of vocal cord, we can know which actions will get affected. Here in the laryngeal paralysis we will look at whether voice will be affected or not, whether there will be any respiratory symptoms or not. And that's the two things that we have to identify in all kinds of palsy. The next one is the Simon's theory and Wagner's and Grossman theory. Only thing that we have to do is understand this topic. So what does this Simon's and Wagner's Grossman hypothesis says is that this first Simon's theory is just a phylogenetically, okay, it's just a theory, it's just someone's opinion kind of thing, okay, it's not like totally proved theory. What it says that the abductor fibers, they are newer than the adductor fibers, so that's why they get injured first. Okay, let me tell you again, the abductor fibers are phylogenetically newer, so they are more susceptible to injury by progressive organic lesions, hence they are paralyzed first compared to the abductor fibers. This results in vocal cord being in median or paramedian positions. Are you getting my point? So why the vocal cord results in median or paramedian positions is because the abductor fibers, they are affected first phylogenetically. So in this theory what it says that abductor fibers, they appear earlier than the adductor fibers. So abductor fibers appears later than the adductor fibers. The adductor functions of the vocal cord starts earlier than the abductor. That's why the new one, which is abductor, it gets prone to lesions. That's a theory, it's just a statement, it's just someone's opinion with no any scientific basis. So just remember this, that adductors are old and abductors are new fibers. Since they are new fibers, so they are prone to infections. That is what it says. Wagner's and Grossman theory has little bit point which says that if right recurrent laryngeal nerve is affected, then all the muscles are gone. All the muscles are gone, whichever it's supplying, isn't it? But there's only one muscle which is not supplying, which is not supplying, which is supplied by the superior laryngeal nerve. That's why it is still active, and cricothyroid function is adduction. It is to add. That's why vocal cord will be in median position. So it's about the median or paramedian position. So Simon's theory has one theory about the abductor and adductor, where its cause tells about the cricothyroid muscle, which is more scientifically correct. So this is about the theory. After that we will start with the paralysis. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Recurrent laryngeal nerve, it will be unilateral and bilateral. All the laryngeal nerve, recurrent also, superior laryngeal nerve also, there will be unilateral nerve and bilateral nerve. Unilateral means one side only, bilateral means both side only. So this unilateral recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy is also known as unilateral incomplete palsy. Why? Because for to be a complete palsy, all the nerve supplies will be affected, but only the left recurrent laryngeal nerve supply is getting affected. The superior laryngeal nerve is still working, isn't it? That's why since the superior laryngeal nerve of the one side is still working, but only one nerve is paralyzed, so it is always incomplete palsy. Why it is known as abductor palsy? Because the only muscle which is only abductor, it is getting supply from the recurrent laryngeal nerve. So when recurrent laryngeal nerve will be affected, it will be also affected. So unilateral abductor, because this is unilateral lesion, so unilateral abductor palsy, unilateral incomplete palsy of the unilateral recurrent. Now go to the bilateral. In bilateral, the both sides whenever there is palsy, it is also known as incomplete palsy because still the superior laryngeal nerve is active of that side, and it is known as bilateral abductor palsy because both sides abductor functions will get affected. Now, uh, so this next one is the superior laryngeal nerve palsy. So if there is unilateral paralysis of the superior laryngeal nerve, then let me tell you what is the function of superior laryngeal nerve: to supply cricothyroid and to provide the sensory supply. So since cricothyroid muscle will be affected because of its paralysis, so there will be the cricothyroid aerotor function will get affected. So the tensor is also a tensor muscle, so it has to keep the vocal cord straight in tension, but since it will get affected, so the vocal cord will be bowed and fluffy. And next thing is anesthesia of the larynx above the level of vocal cord will be lost. So that's it, it is known as unilateral paralysis. And there is the bilateral paralysis. Here both side cricothyroid muscles is paralyzed and both side of the larynx of the two vocal cords are anesthetized, because the function of the superior laryngeal nerve is two things only: supplying cricothyroid, which function is tensor, and another is the sensory supply. Let's go to our previous slide again. So what happens here is that it is a palsy of the abductor muscle. Abduction, what it does, it moves the vocal cord away from the median line. So now the vocal cord are not going away. Okay, so they are coming more closer to the midline. And it is the unique complete palsy of all the adductor muscles also. Okay, adductor muscles have to bring them close, isn't it? Adductors. So first of all, itself is coming close, and also the one of the adductor function muscle, that is cricothyroid, is still acting. So cricothyroid will again push it towards the midline. So both of the loss of abductor and the action of only one, that is adductor muscles, which is left is cricothyroid, it shifts the positions towards the median or paramedian side. Okay, it shifts the position towards the median or paramedian side. So as I already said, medial position is the position of the vocal cord for phonation, but okay, another side is still normal, so that's why there is a space. Okay, one side is in the middle but another side is still normal, so there's a space. So speech will be normal, but there might be little bit of hoarseness, and this will get compensated. Okay, there will be a little bit of hoarseness, but this will get compensated by hypertrophy. So what will happen is this side will later on, because there is space left, this side will hypertrophy to come in the middle to match with it, like this. So this is the normal and this one is the palsy one. So this is the normal and this one is the palsy one. So because of this palsy, this one also get a little bit hypertrophied, okay, to compensate, and that results in the disappearance of hoarseness. So there will be transient hoarseness in the voice, and there will be no aspiration, and respiration is normal, and that will conservative treatment will relieve it over the time. Very easy, isn't it? Easy to understand. What is the thing, what is difficult over here? The only thing difficult to understand is the function. Once you know the function, you can easily understand what will be the situation. Very easy. Now let's go to the bilateral. So in bilateral also it's the same thing. Both the knob will get palsy, means abductor function is lost, and both the knob side is getting paralyzed. Now, abductor function is lost means that a vocal cords will come close. Okay, it has to push away, but it will pull now. After that, adduction muscle is still acting means vocal cord will come even closer. So the cord lies in paramedian position. Voice is good, and there is a variable of degree of stridor because stridor means the noisy sound produced by the passage of turbulent air through the narrowed ear passages. So since there will be narrow ear passage because the vocal cord has now moved from its original position to the even nearer position to the midline because of the action loss of the abductor functions. Okay, loss of the abductor functions, and as I said that the abductor muscles are affected earlier than the adductors. So since the abductor muscles are affected earlier than the adductors, the effect of loss of adductor will be shown earlier than of the adductor. That's why vocal comes to come nearer. It lies in paramedian position. Voice is still good because in paramedian position we can whisper, and variable degree of stridor will be say because of the narrow ear passage. Now talking about the treatment, this is a case of the stridor. As I said, there is a stridor because of narrow ear passage. So it's an emergency situation. So what we will do in an emergency situation is tracheostomy. After tracheostomy is done, we don't want to stay with the permanent tracheostomy, right? So what we will do, we will go for other options like transverse chordotomy, partial arytenoectomy, renovation procedures, and thyroplasty too. I haven't mentioned the detail of them because it's not quite important. Just name of it will be enough. Okay, if you want detail, you can go with any ENT book and you can get the answer. After that, the same thing that I have earlier explained to you, nothing different. Now, superior laryngeal knob unilateral paralysis. So unilateral paralysis means the cricothyroid muscle will be affected, adductor muscle, tensor muscle, and then an sensory supply will be affected. So if sensory supply is affected, there will be anesthesia of larynx above the level of vocal cord. When the tensor muscle is affected, okay, voice number is severely affected because other all only one adductor muscle is affecting your other all adductor muscles, and one abductor muscles is working fine. So voice will not be severely affected and will recover fast. But the thing that will happen is because the tensor muscle is getting affected, the vocal cord will get bowed and it will become floppy. Okay, it will become blowed, it will become floppy, there will be increased length, the cord sags down during inspiration and pulls up during the expiration, and also the pitch of voice cannot be raised. Pitch of voice cannot be raised. So that will be the feature of the unilateral paralysis of the superior laryngeal nerve. We can remember it is a tensor muscle. So if tensor muscle is not working, obviously it will be flaccid. Very easy to remember. What happens when it gets flaccid? The flaccid pitch of the voice will be lost, and the cord sag down during inspiration and balls up during expiration. No treatment is required because voice is not getting so much affected, and pitch of the voice is only the thing that is, affected, and other things are okay. No any stridor is also not seen here because there is no any narrow ear passage. The passage is not getting any affected over here. After that, it bilateral paralysis also. So here both cricothyroid muscles are paralyzed along with the anesthesia of larynx above the true vocal cords. So the voice is breathy and weak because both the sides are now getting paralyzed. Both the tensor muscles are now, not working. That's why it will get flabby and loose. So voice becomes very breathy and weak. And high chance of aspiration is there because of bilateral anesthesia of the supraglottic part. And you can also look from here, this is not a case of bilateral paralysis, but if suppose like this both sides will be flappy, that means the space here will get increased. That will also lead to the aspiration of the food in the larynx. So tracheostomy will be done, and epiglottoplexy to close the laryngeal inlet and to protect the lungs from repeated aspiration will be done. So this is the summary of everything. So abductor and adductor palsy. Abductor means the recurrent laryngeal knob. So more common in left side. Right recurrent laryngeal knob more longer than the right recurrent laryngeal knob. Paramedian or median position. Why? Because abductor function is lost. Hoarseness of voice initially, but normal due to compensation of the normal size hypertrophy. In bilateral, both are in paramedian or median position. Even this is paramedian aphonia plus aspiration, but when modian, good voice but little bit of dyspnea because of the narrow ear passages. Here, there will be narrow ear passage due to the loss of abductor function that leads to aspiration or stridor and dyspnea. So it is quite emergency. Whereas abduction palsy, there will be hoarseness plus aspiration. Okay, chances in both, but most common it is in bilateral, and that will be the thing about it. I hope that you are able to understand. My voice is really low because it's a night time and I'm making this video. So please do like, share and subscribe this channel if you like this video, and thank you so much.